When I first quit smoking weed, and to be completely honest, when I quit watching porn, the hardest part of the day for me was the evening hours. I would get home after work, I would get home after a long day, and I found myself asking, what do I do now? How do I spend this time? How do I fill in this boredom? And in today's video, I'm going to give you guys a total of 6 ideas that can help you throughout your recovery process. If you're new to the channel, my name's Dr. Frank. I'm the founder of AddictionMindset Recovery Coaching, programs dedicated to helping people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content, addictions that I personally struggled with. The first recommendation would be exercise. And I know how challenging it can be after a day's work to come home and exercise, but exercise doesn't have to be rigorous. How I schedule my day is I like to work out first thing in the morning, and typically I'll do weightlifting in the morning. And then when I come home after work, depending on the weather, I'll either go for a walk outside and listen to a podcast or listen to a YouTube video while I'm walking on my phone. Or if it's really crappy out, I'll do an at-home yoga session. I'll just pull up a yoga video on YouTube. I got my yoga mat on my floor, and I'll do a 15 to 20 minute yoga session. After that, take a shower, brush my teeth, and get on to whatever else I'm doing throughout the night. I think exercise is one of the best activities that you can do to fill your time after quitting an addiction. And again, especially in the beginning of your recovery process, it does not have to be anything too physically demanding. Tip number 2 would be reading books. This is often what I'll do after I exercise. Now, the books that I read often revolve around things in my life that I have an interest in. So I have an interest in business and marketing and YouTube. So I'll read books about those topics. Now, if I'm not reading books about that, I'm usually reading books about addiction recovery to further my education as far as this profession goes, or I'm reading books that I have an interest in. Books about health, books about fitness and workouts, books about nutrition. One of the latest ones I was into was the book The Carnivore Diet by, he calls himself Carnivore MD, just looking at different nutritional programs. So I find reading to be an excellent use of my time because not only am I furthering my interest, I'm furthering my education, and it also helps me to further my career. Another activity that you could do, activity number 3, would be journaling out your day and planning for your next day. I use something that I tell you guys to look at. It's called the High Performance Planner. This is a great planner, and it really lays out for you step by step like a nice reflection of your day-to-day activities and how you can improve upon those the next day. I love journaling. This has been key to me building this business and staying on track, holding myself accountable. Anytime you can partake in an activity to hold yourself accountable, I think that's going to go a really long way. My 4th favorite activity has become cooking. I got really recently into prepping my food and cooking. And I went out, I bought a Ninja Foodie indoor smokeless grill. You guys might see me use that in some of my videos. And cooking is something that I've become very passionate about. In the beginning, I'm going to be honest, it was a pain to come home after work. The last thing I wanted to do was cook and clean. But for some reason, now cooking has become a very therapeutic thing for me. It's also become an interest that I can continually pursue. I can watch YouTube videos about cooking. How do you cook the perfect steak on a grill? How do you cook the perfect steak on a frying pan? How do you cook the perfect steak on a skillet and then bake it in the oven? Cooking provides you with an endless pit of information that you can pursue when finding new recipes and new things. I'll also spend a lot of time meal prepping, which has been very beneficial. And this brings me into my 5th point, planning out your next day. So lay out your clothes for the next day, lay out your gym clothes for the next day, right? Prepare your meals for the next day. All of these activities lead to lower levels of stress in my life. Especially when it was early on in the quitting process, stress tends to be a major trigger for people. It certainly was for me. So anything you can do when you get home, taking a shower, brushing your teeth, meal prepping your food, laying out your clothes, anything you can do to make that next day less stressful is going to be super beneficial for you. And my last tip number 6, would be picking up a hobby, a side hustle, or an interest. For me, that time at night became time that I was making YouTube videos. That became time that I was building a side hustle, which is now a full-blown business. We have AddictionMindset Recovery Coaching, LLC. This is something I loved because, like cooking, like reading, there was an endless pit that I could fall into, but in a really good way. This is like an upward spiral, not a downward spiral into an endless pit of information that I could learn about. I could read books about YouTube. I could watch YouTube videos about how to edit YouTube videos. I could learn about camera equipment. I could learn about microphones. It has endless opportunities when you're pursuing a side hustle or a passion. This is also time that I'll learn about investing. I like watching YouTube videos on people who I trust when it comes to investing recommendations and advice, which is a really good thing because by watching those videos, I've done a much better job than I have in the past of securing my future financially. And all that information is free on YouTube. So I'll focus on my side hustle, my business. Maybe for you, this is a great opportunity to start a side hustle or a business. I'll watch videos on investing, how I can start to secure my future. And then when that's all too taxing, I'll dive into a hobby. So nighttime is a great time to have a hobby. For me, I still consider YouTube a hobby. But I've mentioned in many other videos, I'm really big into target shooting, and I've acquired a decent handful of firearms over the years. Those firearms require constant maintenance, constant care, and there's always things on them that I can be upgrading, changing out parts, and that's been an awesome stress-relieving hobby for me. I got a little workbench in my basement, and I can sit down there for 2-3 hours at a time if I want, just cleaning the firearms, adding parts, changing parts out, and learning more about these things that I possess. Now, I'm not saying your hobby should be firearms. Maybe your hobby's music. Maybe your hobby's writing. Maybe your hobby's making videos. I don't exactly know what your hobby will be, but that's for you to find out. Now, the most important thing is that you actually do these things. It's one thing to just watch this video and get these recommendations, but it's another thing to actually put them into action. So what I would challenge you to do today, at the end of this video, tonight, tomorrow, whatever it is, start taking action on one or several of these recommendations that I have for you. And if you're early into quitting and you get home and you think, damn, I don't want to do anything, I'm just sitting on my couch, I freeze, right? You freeze up, you can't do anything. Start doing something. The sooner you start jumping into things, the sooner your brain is going to start to heal and crave doing those activities. I don't crave going home and smoking weed anymore. I crave going home and I crave going home and doing yoga. I crave going home and reading a book. I crave going home and cooking myself a nice steak with some potatoes and vegetables on the side. Those are, well, not vegetables right now because of the whole carnivore diet thing. But that's what I've trained my brain to crave. And the only way you're going to get to that point is if you give your brain enough space in between you and whatever the addiction was that you were struggling with. In time, your brain will develop new patterns and new behaviors, but you have to repeat those behaviors and patterns over and over again. If you're wishy-washy and one day you're working on your hobby, one day you're working out, another day you're smoking, then you're smoking for 3 days, working out for a day, you're never giving your brain enough of an opportunity to create those new patterns and those new habits. So I just encourage you guys, make a decision, pick some of these things to focus on, take action on it, and see it through for an extended period of time. 3 months, a year, 2 years, 4 years. I'm telling you guys, I'm at the 5-year mark of this stuff, and oh my gosh, I can't believe how much my life has changed. But every night, I've put in the work. And lastly, the time that you're going to get back to pursue all these other things by quitting this addiction, I think it's uncomprehendable. Let's say you watched porn for 10 minutes every night and you were high for an hour a night. That's an hour and 10 minutes every day. That's like 8 or 9 hours a week. 8 times 4 is 32. That's 32 hours a month that you could be doing something different with yourself. And trust me, if you're not liking what you're doing right now, you might as well put that time and effort into something different. I hope this video helps you guys out. If you need one-on-one coaching, be sure to check the pinned comment, and I can help you come up with your very own plan, because that's what I do. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.